The story begins with a woman who finds herself in an impossible situation. Accused of impersonating a Navy SEAL, a crime that carries both shame and disbelief. From the moment she is confronted, everything about her is judged through suspicion. Her composure, her uniform, even her silence are seen as signs of guilt. The people around her, including the officers handling the arrest, cannot imagine that a woman could ever have served in such a role. Their minds are already made up before she even has a chance to speak. This reaction reflects a deeper issue in society: how easily people believe appearances, and how quickly they form conclusions based on what fits their expectations. Her arrest becomes more than just a legal misunderstanding. It becomes a symbol of how truth can be buried under prejudice. As she sits in custody, flashes of her past service come back to her. The missions that shaped her, the comrades she lost, and the oaths she took to remain silent about her classified operations. There's a heavy irony in the fact that the very secrecy she once swore to uphold is now the reason no one believes her. She cannot defend herself with words because her truth was meant to stay hidden. The walls close in around her, not just literally, but emotionally. Her sense of honor, once her greatest pride, now feels like a curse. Yet beneath her calm exterior lies the quiet strength of someone who has faced far worse than disbelief. The battlefield may have changed, but the fight for dignity continues. The officers interrogating her grow impatient. They ask for proof, for documentation, for any detail that could confirm her story. She says little, knowing that even the smallest disclosure could violate the code she lived by. To them, her silence is arrogance. To her, it is loyalty. The misunderstanding deepens. The world that once celebrated her courage now sees her as a fraud. It's a painful mirror of how people often turn against those who don't fit into conventional molds. But truth, no matter how buried, has a way of surfacing at the right moment. When the Admiral arrives, everything changes. His eyes catch a glimpse of a tattoo, not the decorative kind, but one that only those who have endured a certain elite training would bear. The room's energy shifts instantly. The same people who doubted her now fall silent. The Admiral's recognition is more than validation. It is an acknowledgement of her sacrifice, of a past that demanded secrecy and strength beyond measure. In that moment, the misunderstanding dissolves, and the true weight of her identity is revealed. What was once seen as deception becomes a lesson in humility for everyone who judged her. Her story reminds us that sometimes the heroes we overlook carry their truth quietly, marked not by words or medals, but by the silent proof of what they've endured and the courage to never boast about it. The tattoo becomes the silent witness to a story that words alone could never tell. It is not merely ink on skin, but a symbol of belonging, a mark earned through sacrifice, endurance, and loyalty. In the eyes of the untrained, it seems like an imitation, another detail in her supposed disguise. But to the Admiral, it speaks louder than any ID card or badge could. He recognizes the fine details, the placement, the faded lines that only time and service could create. That single moment reveals the depth of her hidden past and the truth she had kept locked away. It's a quiet but powerful turning point that transforms her from a suspect into a figure of respect. What everyone else saw as deception was in fact the shadow of a life lived in secrecy and honor. For years, she had carried the memory of missions that could never be spoken of, friendships that ended in silence, and scars, both physical and emotional. Her tattoo was the one thing that tied her to that past, a private reminder of who she once was and what she had given up. It wasn't meant for display, but for remembrance. Yet here, in this unexpected moment, it becomes her only voice. The Admiral's recognition is not just about military protocol, it's an acknowledgement of shared experience, of having walked the same unforgiving path. His words, "That tattoo's authentic," cut through the tension like a blade.
not as a defense, but as a declaration of truth. Everyone in the room realizes instantly that this woman wasn't pretending to be a seal. She was one. The revelation forces the crowd, the officers, and even the onlookers to confront their own assumptions. How easily they had dismissed her. How quickly they had believed that such honor and strength couldn't belong to her. It's a striking reflection of the human tendency to judge what we don't understand. The tattoo becomes more than just a military mark. It becomes a metaphor for unseen truth, the kind that exists beyond appearances, beyond gender, beyond expectations. It reminds us that real stories often lie beneath the surface, waiting for the right eyes to recognize them. In that moment, the atmosphere changes completely. The Admiral's authority restores her dignity, but more importantly, it reveals the emotional weight she has carried in silence. Her eyes meet his, and there is an unspoken understanding between them, the kind that only comes from shared courage and sacrifice. The room falls silent, not out of fear, but out of respect. Those who once accused her now look away, realizing their mistake. The tattoo, once considered false evidence, now stands as a symbol of truth. It embodies the life of a woman who served her country without ever seeking recognition. Her story reminds us that sometimes the proof of authenticity is not found in words or documents, but in the quiet symbols carved by time, pain, and unwavering loyalty to something greater than oneself. When the Admiral speaks and the truth is revealed, the story shifts from accusation to revelation, from disgrace to redemption. The moment is charged with the power of justice finally aligning with truth. The woman, who had endured humiliation and suspicion, stands silently as the weight of misunderstanding begins to lift. Her journey reflects the timeless struggle between identity and perception. How easily people can misjudge what they do not see clearly. For her, being a Navy SEAL was never about recognition or praise. It was about service, sacrifice, and purpose. Yet now, standing in that room, she realizes how fragile reputation can be when society decides what someone should or shouldn't be. Her silence throughout the ordeal becomes her greatest strength, a quiet defiance that proves her integrity long before anyone else does. As she regains her freedom, she doesn't lash out or demand apologies. Instead, she carries herself with quiet dignity. The experience has scarred her, but it has also reaffirmed her faith in her own resilience. Redemption, for her, doesn't come from others believing her story. It comes from knowing she stayed true to herself even when no one else did. The Admiral's recognition is a public vindication, but her private victory lies in never betraying her values. The same loyalty that once made her a target of disbelief now becomes her shield and proof of character. She doesn't need to prove her identity anymore. She simply embodies it. The incident becomes a story that echoes beyond that room, a lesson about judgment, truth, and human dignity. People begin to talk, not about her arrest, but about her courage to remain silent in the face of humiliation. The tattoo, the symbol that revealed her truth, becomes a reminder that authenticity often hides in plain sight, unnoticed until the right eyes recognize it. Justice, identity, and redemption intertwine beautifully in her story, showing that every false accusation holds the potential for deeper truth. Her redemption is not dramatic or loud, it's graceful, earned, and deeply human. She walks away not as a victim of misunderstanding, but as a symbol of quiet strength, proving that no matter how deep the doubt, the truth has its own way of shining through, reclaiming both honor and identity.